All right.
Mhm.
Hello, everyone. It's Ben from Grappling Insider. Today, I am super happy to be joined by the 2023 Light Feather No-Gi World Champion. He is also the 2023 No-Gi Pans Champion, 2023 No-Gi European Champion, long considered one of the best black belt competitors in the world, Junny Ocasio. Junny, thanks for joining me today.
What's up, guys? I'm super stoked to be on here, and just hearing you say those things, it's amazing. It's amazing. Uh, I just, I'm still like taking it all in. I think I've been so focused throughout the year, like, that still doesn't even sound right to me right now.
I get it. And that was honestly the first thing I wanted to ask you is like, it's been 72 hours about since you stood on that podium, Nogi World Champion. Like, are you still flying high? Has it sunk in? Where are you feeling a few days later?
I don't think it's sunk in yet. Honestly, man, I was so focused that like that moment. I mean, you saw it in the actual when like my emotions just came out. It was just like. I don't think it's there yet because I'm such a hard worker in the sense that like I consistently like to stay on top of things so that I can be the best version of myself. And right now it's like I'm slowing everything down so my body can heal up. And I just have so many emotions, man. I usually get depressed after like, such a high of a tournament. But I don't know what I am, man. I'm sad, I'm happy, I'm like, I got to be better. I made mistakes. I got to do this. I got to do that. But it definitely has not sunk in yet. And this week's promotions at my school for my students, and so it's I'm blessed that everything went the way it went. And yeah, I have no idea where my mind's at. I think that's why my emotions are so sporadic right now. Because you do it for a long time, and you get it. You get it. You're get what you put your effort to, and then you're like, part of you needs to enjoy it, and then part of you is like, okay, well, now we got to step it up like 10 times. So I haven't hasn't sunk in yet, but I definitely know that I've been like riding my bike, and I'm not very emotional, like showing my emotions, but I definitely been tearing up here and there, and just it's just been a wild ride and been a long time coming. And the way we did it and how we did it this year, just like I don't even think like when I sit down and think of it, I'm like, that shit sounds insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, let's talk about your year because those it's not just World Champion, it's the three major Nogi IBJJF tournaments. Tell me what was clicking this year? What was going right for you?
So there's a couple things. I feel like it was a long, like 2019 black belt, fresh. At that time, I was good and I was raw and I was hungry, but I think like I really just kept comparing myself to other people, like really like comparing the stats and comparing stuff. And if you know this by anybody's time, when you compare yourself to other people, it just becomes you're just like poisoning yourself because like you're not that person. You are you. And I think in 2020 I resurrected my career and like I really pushed forward and I became like a very well-known name in that instructionals and all that stuff. But during that time frame, I relearned my jujitsu, and then I realized that in 2021 to I started to realize like after placing third again at Worlds and third at Pans, I started realizing I needed to work on my mental health, and there was something a little bit more deeper than just tournaments. And coming from the type of childhood I grew up with, and a lot of trauma that I didn't really get to talk about, being so focused throughout the years, I started diving in that and had mental coaches. I actually had three mental coaches. I started diving through my childhood trauma. I had I was going through a lot with my ex-fiance of 17 years, and love her to death, but we just had, somebody for so long, you have issues, and um we separated. So like during 2020, that is 2021, 2022, that was me going through pretty much a divorce while I was fighting and all that stuff. So nobody knew that stuff, but I was just like going through a lot. And then of course 2022 was the same. It's like we were third place, third place, third place, and we did really good. I won most of the things. I only barely lost, but for me, those losses were like super. I look at my losses more than I look at my wins. You know what I mean? Because yeah, who cares if I won everything if I didn't win the actual thing that I really wanted to win? So um, after that, I was still transitioning. I was moving to my own place and away from somebody I knew for forever, and I was kind of re-getting to know myself and know my traumas and know what's going on and be alone again. And doing that kind of like helped me go deeper, deeper into who I was and wanted to be a better person and wanted to really like push the levels. And in the beginning of at the end of 2022, beginning of 2023, I decided and I sat down with my professor and I decided that I wasn't going to jump back in the gi season, that I didn't have the hunger for winning the world championship in the gi the way I had the hunger for winning the no-gi scene. And I love the gi to death, and it'll always be a part of me. I love jujitsu, so it's good. But I didn't want to go into anything half-hearted and waste 6 months. And so I took that 6 months to continually work on my mindset and continually work on a new weight cut process that I had went through in 2022. It was a very healthier wrestling weight cut process that was it was I messed up like twice on it, but for the most part, it's like been tenfold, and I was able to perfect it to my body. I was able to come up with a plan to put the most amount of muscle I can possibly put on my frame, and so I can fight with these guys who are on steroids, and then be able still to be close enough to the weight class that it wouldn't hinder me when I would drop back down. And then from there, had to I had to pay attention to everything. So I had to study all my opponents and find out, look at people who are winning, look at what they're doing, dissect it, practice all those positions specifically, and do that for the whole year till it became so normal that it wouldn't have phased me. I took up wrestling heavily. So I watched the nutrition, watched the wrestling, upped my letting go of being perfect in competition instead of like just trying to be the most beautiful jiu-jitsu in the world. Just try to be like, don't try to control what I can't control, and sometimes it's just ugly because not because of me, because of them. And it ended up just being like just letting go and moving on, and just also like remembering that like this is my dream and I love it, and I just like I'm getting older and I got to like give it my all, and so there was a lot of moving pieces the whole year. Like it was a whole thing. And it came to a point where once I moved, financially, I had to cut back on a lot of stuff. And I was only able to train with my trainer like once a week, which is like, I went back from like 3 times a week, once a week. So I had to redo all my plans with my trainer so that I was able to do everything on my own and push myself by myself. So it was a lot of stuff, extra drilling, extra everything. And then also the biggest thing, you'd be surprised, is when it came time to the tournaments, it was a flex, but I had to rest more. I had to dial it back down the 2 weeks leading up and do nothing but like train and sleep. And so like I started forcing myself to like get home, sleep earlier, lose some money on private so that I can get rest so that I can focus for the tournament. So there's like a long list of what we did to do it. But to that factor, my performance is skyrocketed.
What's up, everyone? Chances are, if you're tuning into this interview, you probably train in jiu-jitsu, whether it's in the gi, no-gi, or both. I've been training for about 13 long years now myself, and when it comes to the gear that I like to use, I personally recommend Rev Gear. They have a premium gi that I love. They have an ultralight competition gi. They have grappling shorts. They even have rash guards that are pretty understated in design, but still really sharp looking. High quality gym bags, even backpacks that can hold multiple gis. So basically just like everything you would need for BJJ training. The best part for me personally is that nothing on that site will break the bank. We're not talking $75, $80 rash guards or $250 gis. Everything that RevGear offers is super reasonably priced, which personally I love. To make it even sweeter, RevGear is offering a 10% discount on every purchase made on revgear.com when you use the promo code INSIDER10 at checkout. That's Insider10 for 10% off anything and everything you buy on the site. I will also drop a link in the video description below. Again, I cannot recommend their stuff enough. Everything I have from RevGear fits well, it's solidly made, and in my experience, holds up great in the long run. Again, head over to revgear.com. That's REVGEAR.com. Use the promo code INSIDER10 for 10% off any purchase made and get some quality gear at a phenomenal price. Now, back to the interview. I'd say so, man. And I think you listed a ton there that just gives people an idea of like how big of an endeavor it is to win at the level that you're winning at. How everything is full force into this kind of one goal. I'll go ahead.
No, no, no. I just think it's hard. I think people don't even know. Like, you look at the people and you look at people who win and stuff like that. And some of them they train less. Some of them train. It comes a little bit more natural to them. And I train a lot, have a lot of high volume, but it's winning those titles and not opens. I'm talking about those titles. Doing 2-day tournaments where it's very emotionally draining, and then doing it and once you start winning, you know, not paying attention to the pressure and paying attention to just performing. It's a very high task, and I think that people think that when they put a little bit of effort for like a year, that that's gonna make the difference, but they like will burn out and then that's it. That's it. It's done. Like, and I think that that's a big thing is that like even how as ever down I felt, we went and was like, all right, do it again, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And that makes me wonder, like you said it, 5 years, like five times you were, third place, right?
So,
What
yeah,
where's the motivation coming from? Like what are you pushing through to get to where you are now? Because a lot of guys would have honestly probably gone to Masters division and then called
they
themselves a
did.
world champion.
They
What's
did.
what's
They
the
did. A lot
motivation
of
for
people.
you?
So 2019, was it 2019, 2020, 21, 22. So yeah, about 5 years, almost 5 years took me to get what I wanted. So about 5 years to climb. Um, you know, I think some people like, they want to win. It's hard, man. It's so hard. I can't tell you how hard it is, but I think for me, my life has never been easy. So like I went through a lot of stuff growing up, and like this is the difference between me and like kids and stuff like this, especially my opponents. They're like young guys. I have a great life. They have parents and support them, and they don't have to worry about nothing. And my life has been complete opposite. My life has been, you know, abused in every single format from my father, from my family, um, going through the drugs, going through people telling me I'm not gonna be nothing, high school dropout, not able to afford the surgeries I needed to to be an athlete, and just kind of going through all those motions by myself and kind of just having a vision and some faith and just pushing through and then seeing little things happen and then just really isolating and sacrificing every portion of my life to just being like completely in it. And I think that for me, I if I didn't obtain that title, I think I would have been okay and happy with myself because I think the funny thing is that I'll tell you this in the second portion, but if I didn't have that and I walk away and I didn't submit myself as a world champion, I feel like that I was just another a star. And that's different, right? So like we have a lot of people these days that they get super fights, they're amazing, and they fight in whatever fights and stuff like this. But like, can you be a submission artist? Can you fight forward? Can you do amazing jiu-jitsu? Can you teach well? But at the end of the day, did you stamp yourself in the history books? That's important to me. That's like more important to me than anything else in my life to know that I did something and I reached this goal that I said I was going to do when every single person told me to quit when I was younger. Everyone told me I would be nothing. And then when I'm awesome and I'm amazing, the media kind of subswipe, like, they look past you because they have all the phenoms and things coming up. And I mess up at the majors and they don't really give me the shot. And, it was a very big motivation to like be like, no, you know what? I'm gonna do it, and I don't give a fuck what age I am, And I think that that's really important to me, um, to stamp it, because anything now I do is just for legacy. Like for me, like like you could say. anyone can win one major and never win it again, right? Everyone could win separate majors, but to do it 3 years in a row, I mean, three tournaments in a row, back to back in the largest, heaviest season of no-gi for IBJJF for anyone, and do it the way I did it and beat all the guys I beat. That's a fucking you can't deny me that I'm one of the best to ever do it. Now I may not be, and this is an important thing that I came to realize earlier. I was very honest with myself about what I see myself as. And this was the really big turning point where I stopped comparing myself. That, I'm never gonna be Mikey Musumeci. Like I I have a lot of respect for him. He's an amazing competitor. He is the greatest of all time for my weight class. He he just is. It's undeniable, right? But I didn't start at 5 years old. You know what I mean? I started at like when I was 22. So some of those things that he achieved, I can't achieve. I don't have the same time frame to do it in. You know what I mean? And that's okay. It's okay. And my thing was that I'm just going to be my goal is to be the best I can be so that when I'm done, even if I'm not the greatest of all time, they'll say like, you know, during the time frame of this time frame, that guy was tough. That guy was a champion. He was tough and he, brought it every single day. He tried to finish his fights. He tried to, you know, be there. He never gave up. And like that's important to me. Like so once I let go of comparing myself to my peers, like everyone, um, everything started to just like focus purely on just myself. And even at the tournaments, you weigh in, you're working out and stuff like that. And I know normally I don't pay attention to everyone, but now I'm like not paying attention to you. I'm solely focused on me, one fight at a time, only worried about what I'm doing and understand that every single person in this world is beatable. And the difference between me and a lot of guys is that I've been through some really fucked up shit in my life. And I think that mixed with my work ethic, it just like, you're gonna kick me when I'm down, I'm gonna get back up, So some people say things like that, but it's not true. I think that I show it through actions of getting up and going for it. And it just started clicking. And then once I won Pans, I feel like I'm talking the most, right? Once I won Pans, right? I understood what it was to actually win the tournament, be in the semifinal, be in the final, do the 2 day thing. And then once I felt that, I was like, okay, now I understand what it is to win the championship. Now I have to replicate this and try to do it as best as I'm ability, even though the next time it's not going to be the same. So for Europeans, it was hard. The first time I went to Europeans, I got there. I had the worst weight cut in the world. I fought like shit. I really wasn't as good as I am now. My jiu-jitsu IQ was much lower as far as like mat IQ. And this time around, I was ready. I was like 2 pounds lighter. I got over there, straight camp. And then I fought that match. Nobody knows this. And this is I fought Europeans with a popped rib. I popped my rib the night before, which is why certain matches, there was one match in my semifinal where I couldn't commit to like falling to my left side. So I had to like alter my style. And so my rib was on fire between matches, like on fire. And I had to take like pills. I had to tape up my and nobody noticed, but like my whole thing was taped up. Like everything was really bad. And so I won that one, and that was just a mental tournament. I sliced my eye in that one. My rib was all fucked up, and then I healed and I had time to go to Worlds. And right before Worlds, I was exhausted. So like I was exhausted. I didn't even know if I had the energy to do the Worlds. And then I told myself that we can't go so far, so close to just become timid. And so everything just clicked for these ones.
It was awesome to watch, man. Something you've kind of touched on a couple times. I'm curious, like, yeah, a lot of your opponents are early 20s, 20 years old, been doing jujitsu with the most expensive, best instructors since they were
Yep.
walking. You being in your 30s, starting it later than them, like, do you ever feel like though that gives you an edge, right? Having the childhood trauma, going through the difficulties you went through in your life, how does that give you an edge over these guys that seemingly have kind of had it given to them? Not to knock them and they work hard and
Yeah, no,
everything,
of
but
course, of course,
it's
of course
different.
not. And when we talk about them being kids and them having a great life, that's not a bad thing. That's a great thing. It's a great thing. Kids should have that's awesome that they've been training since they're 5 and everything's tailored to them. But with that comes the disadvantage of not knowing life, how it is in real life, and how going through, the everyday traumas of the other people. Like I represent the people who have jobs, who went through all that stuff, who had to multitask, who had trauma, who has to survive things. So going through that really made me mentally strong. So I have this weird ability to just endure and push through and like talk to myself in a way where I'll just pick myself back up and say, like, we'll do it again. We'll do it again and we'll fix it and we'll do it again. We have time. And I take care of my body like very well. And I have a style in jujitsu where I don't get injured as much as other people. And I because I train functional patterns, I don't have the same injuries. And so like I feel relatively pretty healthy. I actually feel but I'm gonna be 35. I actually feel like I'm like just hitting my 30s now. So I actually feel pretty good. Um but I think it's a full advantage. I mean, the difference is like, at the end of the day, man, when you're 20 years old, I mean, I feel like I was a very tough 20-year-old, but I mean, in hindsight, you're like a weak 20-year-old. For me at that time, I had went through so much already. I had to be tough, no matter what. But um, that life toughness is not the same as jujitsu toughness. You know what I mean? Yeah, they can help each other and benefit, but my life experiences through jujitsu with that tough experiences made it a thing. And the kids may have been starting since they're 5, but the difference is they're 20 years old. So that means they've been training for about 15 years. Well, I've also been training for about 15 years. So like even though I started later, I started and I did a lot and I was around the right people. And I've been with Murillo, I think like 2 years into my jiu-jitsu career, I switched with Murillo. And I've been experiencing high level jiu-jitsu since I was like 24. You know what I mean? So like I pay attention and my style is modern, like it's a modern style. It's not like the old school style. So, but I come from the old school too. So like it's definitely like I feel like it's kind of even playing field as long as you are doing the right things, taking care of your body, paying attention, keeping your cardio up, and then also being skillful. I think that also separates me from a lot of older people is that I have the ability to I'm very versatile. Like I practice every single position, and if I'm not good at it, I keep trying to be better at it. And everyone now is getting into leg locks and stuff like that, but there's certain aspects of like these leg entanglements that you can't catch up in 2 years. I've been doing it since like I've been into leg locks since like it's 2023, it's only 2024. I've been in it since like 2016, 2015. So, and I've learned from the best in the world. So like for me, I feel like I that's one up I got on people. And now that I'm sweeping, I'm fighting for every little thing. I'm not being timid about letting things like go in the fight or like I'm making it really tough for everyone where they got to worry about the legs, they got to worry about the sweeps, they got to worry about the passing, they got to worry about the guard. I think that I represent like a full athlete, and even though these guys are coming out and obviously they're kids and they're going to grow and they're going to get better. I still feel like I got enough juice in the tank to fight for a couple of years coming.
For sure. Give me an idea. And I'm glad you brought up your style because we're going to talk a lot about technique here in a minute. Give me an idea of what a typical day of Worlds prep looked like for you in the thick of your training camp, not
Yeah,
winding
yeah.
down, but like run me through a typical Tuesday, for example.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, that's the perfect day. Tuesday is a busy day. So you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I always wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I will let my dog out. I'll sit down. I'll pop open the laptop. Before I do that, I will listen to affirmations. I'm really big on that. I listen to my signs, so I'll look up on YouTube. I have 2 channels I like just to go over my sign for Aquarius. Then I'll sit down and I'll listen to my affirmations. I love the affirmations by Ray Lewis on Spotify, and it just kind of like just reaffirms me. I'm focusing on me, my day, and I only control what I control. I control my attitude, I control my effort, my passion. And then I proceed to study a little bit. Most of the time I would be studying, but because it was world's prep, I toned down in the studying and try not to like fuck with my brain too much. And I would stretch. I loosen up my whole body for the day. So again, I feel younger, but we always have to loosen up the body before we train. So I make sure I run through every part of my body. that needs it. And I do that for about like 20, 25 minutes. And then by the time 6:25 hits, I am headed to the gym. And then I'll drill from about 6:40, 6:45 to about 7:15. I'll start my class. Yes, I start my class late because I need to finish my drilling. And then I will teach. Sometimes it'll be competitive style. This particular day in the camp, it was all competition style. So I would teach, and all my students are taught everything that I practice, so that we all can be synced together. And then we'll do, usually we do like an hour and a half of training, but for the World Camp, we condensed it to about 60 minutes and no, not going over 60 minutes. And we did very specific training. I mean, like specific, like, grabbing the hand with the foot with two hands and the hooks are in, but like you have to balance and make sure you break it. And if it goes in leg entanglement, you continue, but you also have to watch for the base and the points. And then if it gets up to a single leg, you can't stop. You have to continue to get out. And then we'll do like passing my guard, but this time you only can do outside passing and then inside passing and then both. And then it was sit up guard, like not letting the person put you on your back for 3 seconds. And then it'd be like I'm notorious now for doing mandatory stand-up rounds. So we do stand-up rounds mandatory every single day. And we do about like 3 minute, 3 minute rounds of just straight stand-up and return. For Worlds, we shut the return part down and we went with stand-up and continue. So you would not reset because we wouldn't reset in the competition. And then we do about maybe I think it's like 1 to 2 10-minute rounds, and then maybe 3 to 4 6-minute rounds, so that the people who were playing doing masters had their time frame, and then I had my time frame. So that's kind of how that looked for the morning, just the morning. Okay, and then I come back home. I have about 40 minutes. Normally I have about 40 minutes, but because I've been ending class a little earlier, I had about maybe an hour between training sessions, so that I'd be fresh for the next one. And then I drink like a protein shake and I hydrate up on water, and then I go right back to pro. I sleep for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and I head to pro, or tried to sleep anyway. And then from pro training, I would be locked in the gym from 11 to, I don't know, like 2 something. And then I get out, and then I come back, and then I do a little bit of drilling, and then that'd be like 2 hours later, I'd do some drilling, and then I would lift, and then I would normally study a little bit more, but for Worlds, we again toned down the brain. And for Worlds, I condensed my lifting so that I had time to sleep earlier. But normally, those are more expanded and they're like a little bit longer of a day as far as like the drilling's longer, the training's longer, and the workouts are longer.
It's crazy, man. That's, I mean, again, I think gives people an idea of just how much effort goes into competing at that level. Um, Talk to me a little bit. I talked to a lot of people in the jiu-jitsu community, and Unity and specifically Murillo, nobody ever has anything bad to say, right? This is kind of the everybody loves this gym, even if they don't go there. There's always good things to say. Tell me kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
what's the special formula there? Whether is it Murillo, is it the vibe? Like what's going on at Unity that gives it such a good reputation in the
Yeah, I think normally it would be, good work by hard, good hard work by good people, which is exactly what we are. We work really hard, and Murillo's not, Murillo's nicer these days than he was to us in the back in the day. I mean, Murillo made sure that I was tough, in the room. I have like so many stories that some of them I cannot speak about, but he always has a way of, is one of the people in the world where like this man is like his ability to push and his mental fortitude is more than anyone I've ever seen in the world. And that mental fortitude that he has makes me want to have makes me understand that no, I can do it. I could push forward, and this year specifically, after we had a lot of people leave, right? A lot of people left. We didn't have that many black belts in the room. I didn't have that many people my size, to be honest. I did most of my training with my class, which is a lot more my size. My students that train with, I have like probably like 8 students that I train with religiously that I put a lot of effort in swipe belt, and they're all the way up to almost brown now, and brown and black, and those are the guys I train with 24/7, like just fixing things, changing things. And then in pro training, I had like one or maybe like I'd be lucky if I had like three featherweights to train with. And then I had to train with mainly like lightweights, and it was hard because lightweight is not the same as light feather. And it was me, Sebastian, Felipe left, and Paco was here for a little bit, but he ended up leaving later on. Not leaving the team, but he just had to go. And we kind of held down. But in this moment, Murillo kind of like the new season, he like changed the whole format of the training, and it really geared towards specific training and not just open drilling, and just like very, very specific and very um mindful of the training, and then not overtraining, because our team is notorious for doing like fucking 3 hour training sessions, and that's awesome and stuff like that. But when we're talking about peak performance for competitions, there is some downside to that. And Murillo has made a lot of adjustments this year, and it really tailored it so the black belts would elevate. And so like they were a little bit shorter. Obviously, it wasn't completely shorter because that's just not Murillo style, but it was I got a lot out of training. Every day we're doing situational, every day specifics, every day changing it up between stand up, between specific guard stuff, specific passing, and a lot of Q&A. He did a lot of extra work with us. He did workshops with us like a month leading up to the competition. It was just pure workshops with us preparing for Worlds. He refined in like the smallest details. Like it's like I watch all these instructionals, but when he tells me like one thing or two things, it just changes my whole fucking perspective of like, oh shit, I've been doing this wrong the whole way. And so he definitely stepped it up this year to help us reach our goals, and he really pushed for me to reach my goal this year. Like he really believed in me, and I tell you, I was nervous before every fucking competition. I was like, oh, man, I'm nervous, Merle. I'm ready, but I'm nervous. And he just really told me that, like, and even after I won Pans, he was just like, listen, don't let the win get to you. Like you're not the wins, people fuck up because they win one major and then they think they're better and they're supposed to win the next tournament. And then the one person scores an advantage on them, they get upset. And then like they go down this like road. And he's like, don't go down that road. It's a tournament, you did great and stuff, but it's a fresh new tournament. And so we are just gonna be better, and we're celebrating our wins, but we're focused on the goals, and remember that like you're not better than anyone just because we won the world title, and or these things. And that kept me really humbled and down to the ground, where I was like, okay, cool. And never let the titles like strip me of like my motivation or like being humble or like being better than somebody. And so like that I think was a big lesson that you only can learn from somebody with that experience, to know that what is the champion's downfall, why champions can win one major and then fuck up on the next. So he played a really key part in making sure that my mind was really mentally fortitude. And then like there was days I came in, he was like, look, dude, you're fucking feel tired. Like you feel tired. You need to tone it down this week. And so like he really, really set it up this year to for us to succeed. I just everything he did this year was like amazing. And just in general, Murillo's one of the best. All your favorite superstars, they're they may not say it, but they're Murillo's students. You know what I mean? And I'm not being an asshole, but Maisa, Pato came through, Paulo, Joao, Wilson, Jefferson, Levi, and then Ariel, Bartek, Varun, all these guys that you see come through. Like at one point, they stood us so long and they absorbed our stuff, and then they got. And it's not to stay or take credit from anybody, but I don't think people give Murillo the credit like he really deserves. Like this boy, this man is like the most giving human being, and he doesn't get any recognition. He's not like the other coaches. He doesn't like try to go online and take the shine for the competition. He doesn't ever try to take it away from the athlete. And yet I see very rare the athletes give praise back to him. And so like it's important for me to let you know that like, the praise for me is big. Like he's the best. And I always call him the grandmaster. For me, he's the grandmaster. Like, yeah, I go to him with any question and I feel like I'm a master. And like I go to him and I feel like, damn, like I gotta fix this. So he is just amazing, and Unity is a place right now where it's glowing a lot more than it always was glowing, but not the way it is right now.
I love it. I love it. All right, you are, in my mind, one of the top technicians in the sport right now. So I'm pumped to talk to you about like technique in general. Something that I
Yeah.
you brought it up, man, is and I had it written down as a question is like when I watch you compete, something that about your style that stands out the most to me is your ability to switch between guards. It's people use the
Yeah,
word dynamic a lot, but I think it applies to you really well. You're going De La Hiva to reverse De La Hiva, reverse K guard, K like you are not
yeah.
stagnant in any position. And I'm curious, A, how you kind of developed that style, and B, how you would, it sounds like maybe some of your 7 a.m. classers have that style, right? If they mimic you, like how would you help someone develop that dynamic style of open guard?
It takes a it's a practice, and it's it takes a little bit of time, but honestly it's developing each guard for everything that it is. Like you're never going to so this is where you're going to get my nerd side of me. um I think that like knowing and being you want to be as versatile. So I'm a person that like I want to out jujitsu you. Like I want to know I out jujitsu you, so I want to know that I know more than you. And then even at that, there's some special ability that each person has in every guard, right? So like for me, my ability to switch between guards and go K guard, and knowing that like I can switch between guards and I can find K guard at some point because that's my like superpower guard, right? But without the funnel between the other guards, the K guard is nothing, right? So like my thought process is that the Delahiva versus Delahiva and K guard all go together, right? Every single one of them go together. And then you start adding in, reverse K guard, and you start adding in like shin on shin. They still all go together. So I think that one to answer the part of like how do you develop that? I develop that through nonstop practice of each guard. So like Delahiva and what's the practical control. In Nogi, staying in stagnant Delahiva is not good. In staying stagnant reverse Delahiva is not amazing. I mean, you can be good at them stagnantly, but that requires you to like only play one game, and that means that you're leaving so many more things on the table and the opportunities to switch to things. So I like using the controls to control and switch as once as they defend one to the other opening. So I don't really force what is there, what I really want. I'm already setting that up from doing the one that they're killing. You know what I mean? So like if I'm doing De La Hiva or reverse De La Hiva, I still want K-Guard. It's no secret. Like, but I get to funnel it through those two moves, and um, being able to learn the controls appropriately, like learning what the structure is that controls the actual move in the leg first, and then applying the movements, and then going off of their core base reactions. So when I say core base reactions, I mean like the top 3 to 4 reactions the person will give you from any given position who know what they're doing. And then you have like the gray area reactions where they just don't know what the fuck they're doing, so they jump around and spaz out and stuff like that. So you have to kind of have both. And so you need like, like if I feel a technician out, it's a little easier because I know everything they're going to do. It's actually less, it's harder for me when people do crazy sporadic things because that means that they don't understand the position. And so they're just jumping around with no care in the world. Once you establish the controls, then you can establish the openings and the sequences in which they connect. So reverse De La Hiva highly connects with K-Guard because you can do all the inversions and then continually shift to K-Guard. Same for De La Hiva. I'd say that De La Hiva to K-Guard is my least favorite. I do De La Hiva to my Jumi lock, which is probably my favorite because it doesn't require me to put myself in jeopardy. The same way that doing De La Hiva to K guard does. Like De La Hiva to shallow K would be more acceptable for higher level competitors. It's just too easy to beat the K guard if you are standing upright, in my opinion. So there's a lot of stuff that are intertwined there, but it's a lot of situational to be honest. Like when I look at it and I have my students go, I always tell them, look, you kill this De La Hiva, reverse De La Hiva's over here. If you kill this reverse De La Hiva, the K guard's on both sides. So you constantly have to switch between like getting ready to defend one, anticipating the other, and then there's a little bit of gray area to how you want to do it. So like me personally, I like defending the K guard while the person goes for the K guard because I have a lot of counters to it. But somebody else might want to stay low and just shut it down completely, and that's fine. But for me, I like to just intertwine and have fun with where I roll. So the way I do the situationals, for instance, will be more like we'll do one where you're just trying to get underneath the hips, maybe you're trying to stay low, or maybe you defend, they shoot it, and as they shoot it, you mess it up a little bit. Or if you mess it up a little bit, and they overcommit, then you're able to go for the move. Another thing is assessing body structure when you do your moves. A lot of people, there's a difference between body structure. So if you look at my guard retention is based, I'm flexible, but I'm not completely like with these other guys. Like I'm not like these guys are really flexible. My difference between my structure is I use gi style retention mixed with no gi structure retention. And so it became like a hybrid of both retention. So I use my flexibility and all that stuff, but it's based on the structure. So if I keep good structure, I should be able to get the moves I want, or I should be able to defend the passing that I need to pass, right? It's not like I'm doing wild shit. It's like, okay, they move here, I put that foot there, they move there, I put this foot here. And then knowing how to put that structure together, you also know how to break it apart. So there's the thing that people do that is very popular is that everyone throws K guard with flexibility. So they get the K guard and they swing the leg really wide, like really wide. And that is a flexibility thing. That is not a structure thing. Actually, that's why it's so much easier to shut that down than getting the frame, pinching your knees together, putting your hip up, and it's a shorter distance from when you throw K guard versus doing it swinging. Anytime I'm doing swinging against anyone who remotely does well, it's not good. When I do it structured, it's completely different. So there's that part that I think that people don't look at when they do guard retention and switching between guards is that they will do the moves, but they don't really understand the structure that's going on. They're just repeating the move that was taught to them versus understanding the actual structure of the move and the body and then being able to apply it. Because in no-gi, it's really structure based with full flexibility and stuff like this. In the gi, it's structure based with a chain attached to it. So I can use the ankle grip that instead of having the ankle grip, I'm allowed to grip the pants grip and use that as a frame because it's the chain to the ankle, right? But if we're talking about pure like pure grips, there's nothing more powerful than an actual bone, and then you reinforce it with the grip. So like if I when I teach gi jujitsu, I do the same concepts, except we always going to take in the fact that if we have cloth, we grab cloth. But like if I need to control a wrist and the elbow, I'm still gonna do the same spots that I would control nogi, but we just reinforce it with the cloth. So we still go and pay attention to joint lines, hip lines. Those are universal, and I think people skip that, and that's why they have a lot hard time doing between guards, to be honest.
I love it. That's super, super high level stuff. Something you brought up, and I also wanted to ask you about is the Junie lock. You're seeing it
Yeah.
more. It's not just you that's hitting it, right? We saw Maisa
Uh,
hit one. I know we've seen
Pato
Pato
hit
hit
one.
them. So it's not just you pulling off this crazy move. I'm not an expert in it. I can recognize it when I see it. I think in my
Mhm,
mind, what I see is like, a heel hook on the opponent's reaping leg and like a single leg X type of situation. But
mhm.
I want to
Yeah.
hear it from you. Like, describe it to me, walk me through it, and tell me why it's so
Yeah.
effective at the high level.
So so the thing is this. I developed that move and actually developed a whole series of moves with that. There's not just there's a Juni lock, but there's also the whole system behind it. So it's not just the sporadic. So the difference between what other people are doing is they're just doing a heel hook on the reaping leg, but there's no control and isolation of the limb. The way I throw it, there's isolation at the hip, and there's isolation controlling the leg, and there's isolation with my chest onto the shin bone, and so his leg's trapped, and then there's isolation of the actual heel and toe bone. So it becomes as if I have his leg completely controlled off his trying to attack me. So it's not just like, oh, it's the smooth, it's crazy. Now, there's many ways to do it. I have some very dangerous ways to do it, and I'm probably one of the only people that will actually put myself in that position to actually get subbed, so that I can get what I want. And the only people who hit it correctly are the people who train with me. Like Patos hit it correctly, Maíz hit it correctly, and other people kind of do it, but they're not really doing it, and they're doing it at a low level, so they're not hitting it the way it should be. Where the other people like Pato and Maíz, they're hitting it at a high level. And it seems like it's just a silly move, but it's so structured. It's my signature move. Like I have Z lock and Junie lock as my signature move, and I've been Junie locked myself. Like I've had I listen. You can't pull off a move without trying to do it and get subbed with your own shit. So like that's part of figuring out counters and stuff. Like I have counters to my own move. So um, I think it's just a very effective move because people, what ends up happening is they get so caught up on reaping and they get caught on things that they don't realize that at some point there's a moment where like when you go for it that you are completely exposed if you're not paying attention. And for me, like there's so much troubleshooting in that position because when you start doing it on the regular and people start knowing, they start doing different things. I have flying, jumping Junie locks. I have like altering size Junie locks from double pull. I have switching locks to 70-30. So it just becomes a whole system, which I'm super excited to get out, but didn't want to put anything out before Worlds. So um, it's super effective. But again, there's a big difference between there's a difference between doing like a heel hook that's loose and jumping and explosive than doing like a isolated heel hook. So like I'm more of a technician, right? Like I I do everything with with purpose. So some people just jump on things and they may catch it. They may catch it like maybe 5 times out of 10. But there's gonna be those people who are ready and being expected. And then when you fall and jump on that shit, they're gonna win because they ready for it. So for me, there's a big difference between doing a move correctly and structurally based versus just doing like whatever. So a lot of people are doing the Juni lock. I'm glad that everybody's giving me credit for it, and they're actually putting my name on it because some people they learn it and they don't put my name on it, and it's like dude, like you didn't know it before me. Kind of like I was taught to Z lock, and to this day it's always like Eddie Cummins. Um, I think that is very effective, and I think that a lot of people are going to use it more, and it's going to become a normal thing. But there's also downsides to it, there's some openings that you can create for the other person too. So, you have to be really clean when you do it, especially when you force it. And I'm like one of the people that will purposely put my leg there because I feel comfortable doing it. But I've also popped my knee and my foot like 1,000 times trying to figure that out. I practiced, worked on that sequence and that move since like 2017, like really worked on it and really didn't pull it off till and give it to the public till like 2021. That was kind of where I dropped it, and then that's the first time you started seeing people do it, and then they started doing it. Same thing like Z-Lock. Like nobody really did the Z-Lock till I did it, and then we and then we taught, I taught that Bato learned, and then I walked him through it at ADCC, and he did that, and then after that it became a fad, but it's already disappeared. You know what I mean? Like nobody's V-locking anymore. But the junior lock's a little bit more fun, but it's dangerous. A lot of people can get hurt if they don't know what they're doing, so they definitely have to be very careful.
Yeah, I mean, I look forward to the Juni Lock instructional. I will say, like, for what it's worth, man. Like out here in like Kansas City, guys in my gym mess around with it. Just from seeing it on Instagram, YouTube, like we are trying, and I
Yeah,
hope to understand it better because, like I
yeah.
said, we go to open
I'm
mat, we're
actually
pulling them across, we're looking for it.
there's a reel coming out. I think I have it scheduled for Thursday, and it's gonna show me hitting it at Hands and at Worlds, and Maisa hitting it at Worlds. And then I will have another video where we're trying to make a viral video so that hopefully the editing goes so crazy that it goes viral. So we need everyone to share it when you get it out there. But um, it'll be where it like kind of breaks it down without me saying a word. So like you'll get to see the actual motion. Hopefully the camera changes an angle and stuff like that. And we'll do it just on that one move. And then hopefully within the next 4 months, we'll have an actual Juni lock instructional lock, which I'm not sure what platform I'm doing that on. It might actually be Submeta. I haven't decided yet. But it's definitely one of those ones that you're going to have to, we're trying to, that's going to be exclusive. Nobody's going to be able to pull that off. Even if somebody was to try to make an instructional and call it something else or try to say whatever, they don't know all the details that I have. You know what I mean?
I love it.
So we'll go from there.
Super exciting, man. It's fun to be still like finding new moves in jujitsu. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, and being creative as fuck, like I'm an innovator for sure. I pride myself in being very creative and doing things in a way that looks like it's like a flashy move, but it's actually not a flashy move.
I love it. All right, man. That was all I had for you today. I want to say again, like, huge congrats. Super happy to see you finally do what you did this year, and looking forward to the future.
Well, I appreciate you bringing me on. I like enticed you on there. I was like, yeah, you got to bring me an interview, and I was like, I'm just joking. And then he's like, no, let's do it. I was like, oh, okay, we'll do it. So guys, you're getting this interview because I totally coerced you.
No, I was gonna do
Um,
it. Best light featherweight in the
yeah,
world. I was definitely reaching out.
that's my favorite. Um, I think that uh, this year went really well, but I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna savor it. But I think I got some more in the tank, and I think I'm going to work really hard to make the adjustments so that I can fix a lot of the mistakes that I made in these past three tournaments or this past year. So there's a lot of things I still think that like need so much work. So I'll be back in the lab. I mean, I'm relaxing, but I'm still working. So um, take it slow. I'll probably disappear for a little bit, and then just slowly like work on my craft while everybody else runs back to gi for a little bit.
I love it. Looking forward to the future, man. Again, thanks so much, Junie.
Thank you guys. Let me say this before you go. If you want to get my instructionals, they're on BJJ Fanatics. If you want to message me private seminars, anything like that, you just go straight to IG, DM me. You could also email me there. There will be some new YouTube stuff coming out that is going to be free for the public. So anything I throw on there is just always free for you guys. I'll be doing some new guard retention stuff for everyone because I had a lot of questions about that. And I'll be posting some more classes, maybe some more like live training, and I'll probably do a little bit of the short clips reel. There's the world's vlog that's going to come out. We're working on it. There's a lot of footage, and then just keeping your head out there for that. And then thank you for everyone supporting me. I appreciate you guys.
Awesome. You heard him. Check him out. Thanks again, Junie.